Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne, and this is episode 158. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, follow, or subscribe on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can also check out my work at the loudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive hard rock and heavy metal interviews, live show coverage, and more. My guest for this episode is vocalist Michael Thomas Beck of ESCAPE THE HIVE. The band recently released their debut album, This Is Gonna Sting, through Vanity Music Group. And here's Michael Thomas Beck to tell you more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing about ESCAPE THE HIVE, how would you describe the band's music to me?
It's a 70s based, but 70s, 80s based. But we wanted to go for more of a Foreigner, Journey, Touch and Night Ranger type stuff than, most of the 70s based stuff, which is, Bad Company and Zeppelin. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we just wanted to do something a little different. And it surprised me that nobody had really done that. And I'm sure there are, but just not that I knew of.
All right. ESCAPE THE HIVE is a rather new band. How did the project all come together?
Well, started about 2 years ago. I was in a band called Kings of Dust with some members of Badlands. Our record came out right as the pandemic was hitting and pretty much killed any hope of that going forward as far as touring and stuff like that. So in the interim, this kind of came about. Paul, the bass player, is somebody that I've known for a long time and have wanted to work with. He and I just kind of started writing songs. A.D. Adams is our drummer, and he's another guy that I've been wanting to, he was actually the guy that I wanted to record the Kings of Dust record with. And his schedule didn't line up, and it did this time. So I was really happy that worked out. We got a keyboard player, Mike Vars, and our guitar player, Conrad Varela. And record just came out September 15th, so just this last Friday, on Vanity Music Group and Shock Records. We hope you dig it.
Well, I'll tell you, I dug it, and the name of the album is This Is Gonna Sting. As you mentioned, it came out September 15th on Vanity Music Group. You guys have been getting great reviews, so you must be happy about that.
So happy. I mean, you do a record for yourself, because if you don't, you're chasing somebody else's tail. And, when you do a record for yourself and it comes out, and I mean, the reviews that we've been getting, we've all just been blown away. I mean, you want to make yourself happy, but man, these reviews have just been unbelievable. So I'm kind of waiting for somebody to pinch me and wake me up, or for the other shoe to drop. And so far that hasn't happened. So we are really, really ecstatic about the reviews and how the record's been reviewed so far and received.
Let's talk about a couple of the songs. You have out 3 songs from the album. One of them is Separate Lives. Why don't you talk about what inspired the lyrics for that song?
It's kind of a takeoff. I got the idea for the song itself, as far as the lyric and melody stuff, which is what I do, from a couple other songs that had kind of hit the same thing that's talking about, that, that feel, that feeling. And it's about, if things had gone different in the past, would I still be thinking about you? What would you be doing? That kind of thing. So it's kind of a crossroads song where you hear about people talking about if they'd made different decisions, 20, 30 years ago, or even 10 years ago, and how it would have changed their life. That's kind of what the song is about.
All right. Why don't we talk about It's Not All Right? What inspired the lyrics for that one?
Sometimes you talk to people and, how's it going? Oh, it's all right. Things are going good. It's kind of a blanket statement, but sometimes when people say things are all right, it's not all right. And if you just dig a little deeper, or are willing to dig a little deeper, you'll find out that, there's trouble in their life, that there's something going on behind the scenes, whatever it might be. But that's what the song is about.
I think a lot of people are writing about that in particular because of what we went through for the last 2 to 3 years, being isolated and getting fed a bunch of fear and being and fighting with each other. I think it's something that people are talking about a lot more. And
exactly more to that topic is the song In Between is exactly what you're talking about. It's more about, what we thought the internet was going to be, all this grandiose, Facebook was going to be this great thing, and we were all going to get along and be happy, shiny people.
It's all fighting and pornography.
Yeah, exactly. And only one of them's good. You can decide which one.
All right. In the vein of the internet, I saw a post on your Facebook page says you don't condone Spotify. Of course, you have to have your album on Spotify. Sort of a double-edged sword for artists like yourself, right?
Necessary evil.
But does it produce any positive outcome for an artist like yourself?
No, nothing. I mean, it's literally, and the problem is this, and boy, you're going to get me off on a tangent here, so be careful. The problem is this, is that, well, there's two main problems, and I'll lay them out for you because you're asking. The first one is that it's not like there's no money to be made. There's plenty of money to be made, but there's only one guy making it, and it's not the band or the artist. It's the owner of Spotify. Guy's worth $33 billion and has never written a song in his life. No, that's wrong. So it's not that there's not money to go around and to pay the artist for their art. It's just not being given to the artist. And that's theft, is what that is. And to go along with that is the fact that if you talk to basically anybody under 30, under 25 for sure, they're just not, they haven't grown up paying for music. They've grown up not paying for it. That kind of thing, it is, the streaming and the download is something, that's their world. That's what they're used to. And I'm not bagging on that world because, that's the reality of what it is. Like I say, there's money there. It's just not being paid to the artist, and that's wrong.
I've noticed lately that Spotify is sort of integrating more beyond music, that you could sell your merch through Spotify and you could sell tickets to your shows through Spotify. I don't know if that's helping a little.
No. I mean, if as opposed to, and again, I'm obviously not under 25, but and I'm used to paying for music and enjoying the fact that I do so. So, I mean, we're all old school and we're used to, buying a record and taking it home and taking off the shrink wrap and looking through the liner notes and listening to it while you're doing it. I mean, that's the experience that we had growing up. And I wish that experience would have carried on to this generation, but it hasn't. But we're talking about something different. We're talking about something that is, even if you're listening to it on your phone with a set of headphones or, through a Bluetooth or whatever, that's great. At least you're listening to music and you're getting an enjoyment out of it. That's great. But the artist should be paid for that privilege. It's just the way it is. And we're literally the only workspace pretty much in the world that doesn't happen for. I mean, if I go to Five Guys and I get a burger, Five Guys gets money for the burger. It's kind of the same thing.
So, what do you think about the resurgence of vinyl as a physical medium? Kind of, it's starting to burn up between older people and younger people.
Yeah, and I trust me, I love it. I mean, I hope we're going to be out on vinyl. The record will be out on vinyl this fall. We're making preparations for it now, and for me, as a guy who owns a fair amount of vinyl, I love it. I mean, I can't wait to have my own record on vinyl. That's a big thing for me. I'm not waiting for it to go platinum or gold. I'm waiting for it to go plastic. As of right now, anyway, it's more of a collector's thing than it is a music thing. And okay, I mean, whatever we got to do to get there, but I wish it was a music thing.
How did ESCAPE the Hive end up signing with Vanity Music Group?
The record that I did with Kings of Dust was also on Vanity Music Group and distributed through Sony. And when I started writing with the band, and we started kind of putting together demos and stuff, I sent some stuff to our label rep, more as a hey, what do you think about this? Just kind of dipping my toe in the water, so to speak. And I knew he would give me some real feedback on what he thought about it. And he flipped out. He loved it. He heard what I was hearing, which was, I think we even got a review here not too long ago, which really summed it up, which was, if you put Bad Company and Night Ranger and Foreigner and a little bit of Deep Purple in a blender, that's, ESCAPE the Hive is kind of where you're at. And that's what he heard. And that's what I heard. And I didn't tell him that going in. I wanted to see what he heard. And thankfully it was the same thing. And so that's how that relationship started.
You guys, ESCAPE the Hive, you kind of toured before the album came out. You guys had a run of dates over the summer. How did that go, debuting the new material and whatnot?
It went really well. I mean, we had a little bit of problem. The record was initially supposed to be out in the spring. So those spring and summer tour dates were, set up to coincide with the record release. We got kind of pushed back a little bit. Labels do that sometimes, and there's just no control over it. So we kind of did what we had to do. But the response to the record live has been really good. Kind of the problem that we're having now, which is a great problem to have, is that we're doing a couple songs, several songs that are not on the record that most likely will be on the next record. And those are going over really well. And, I mean, why would you wish for anything else? But we're trying to stay concentrated on the record we just released.
Always a difficult position to be in, but I mean, you can go to your friend, not friend Spotify and release a single.
No.
So were there any memorable tour stops along the way that stand out to you as a particularly big performance?
The whole tour so far, every leg has been really cool. We started out in the Mesa Music Festival, which is in Mesa, Nebraska, Mesa, Arizona. So right across the road here, kind of our hometown of Phoenix. That went over really well. It was kind of a warm up. Our next gig was literally at the Whiskey, opening for one of my favorite bands ever, a band called Angel. And, at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles, that was a really special night for just a multitude of reasons. So, we were, and, again, the crowd was really receptive, and being receptive to Angel's crowd, which is me, was pretty cool. Then over the summer, we took we just got back actually from some dates through Nebraska, which is, and a couple more dates. I think we had one in Tempe here right before we left with the Iron Maidens, which was a great show. They're always on fire. So that was a really good show. And then the one through the Midwest was really cool. It was particularly great for me. I'm from Nebraska. I moved to Phoenix in '94. So I haven't played a stage back there in my kind of home area since I left. So it was really cool for me to be able to go back, and not only go back, but go back with this band. This band is, I wish I knew how to explain it better, but it's kind of a special thing that I hope continues. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. It's just, it's one of those things that's so cool that you're constantly, it's either a dream or it's too good to be true. You know what I mean? Everybody in the band is really cool, a monster player, gets along. There's no, there's not one member who's got this big black cloud hanging over their head that, is bringing everybody down. There isn't somebody that's showing up, altered, or it's just a really great band full of really great guys that, unfortunately are making what I think is some pretty great music. So it's a little bit of a lightning in the bottle thing, and being able to take that band back to, kind of my old stomping grounds was really special for me.
Did you have a chance to hang out with anybody from Angel, or was it all business?
Oh, no. I mean, it was all business for sure, but we did hang out with them for a bit. I got to talk to Punky Meadows for a while, which was on my bucket list. They were literally the first band I ever saw live. They opened for Rush in the Hemispheres tour. So it was a big deal for me. I've had a great career and have met a lot of people over the years, and I don't get, starstruck or whatever, but I'm telling you, meeting Frank Diminio, the singer for Angel, I was a little giddy.
I would think so.
I'm not lying. I'm not trying. It was pretty cool. And it surprised me when I was talking to him. Like I said, I've been around the block a little bit. I've met plenty of people, and I just don't get that way. They're just, co-workers as far as I'm concerned. But this was Frank Diminio from Angel. And as I'm sitting there talking to him, I can feel the back of my brain going, that's Frank Diminio. And it freaked me out a little bit.
I kind of felt that way when I interviewed Rick Springfield. I was like, I'm really talking to Rick Springfield, me, some guy in the middle of nowhere, talking to Rick Springfield. He was just on The View, and now he's talking to me.
What the hell? Yeah, it's like a loop going on in the back of my head. It was funny because I'm standing there. We're kind of the dressing rooms up at the Whiskey. There's like this hall that goes between them. Standing there, and I'm talking to Frank Diminio, and just talking to him. We're just talking to him, and we're talking back and forth. And Conrad, my guitar player, comes up the stairs and starts coming down the hall, and he kind of looks at me and like, what's going on? And I said, Conrad, this is Frank Diminio. And I know he kind of saw it in my face that I was freaking out a little bit.
What do you guys have planned for the next tour?
We're actually putting a lot of it together right now. Trying to get some dates. We had some dates that kind of fell through this winter, so we're trying to kind of rebook those and getting that done. We do have another show at the Whiskey in LA on December 6th with Burning Witches, which should be a really cool show. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have some stuff already booked for next year. There's a festival in Tucson on February 3rd, I think, that's booked. And there's some other things booked for next year, but we're kind of trying to fill in the calendar for this year since the record just came out, and we, really want to get out there and support it.
In your press materials, you're billed as the singer of Kings of Dust and also one-time Red Dragon Cartel singer. I don't think you appeared on an album, so were you a live performing member?
Right. There was a period of time where Darren, the singer for Red Dragon Cartel, who was on the first record, he I don't know, he's actually a friend of mine. So, but he left the band for a little while for whatever reason that was. They were looking for a singer. I knew a couple of people and auditioned and got the gig. Got the chance to tour with Jakey Lee and sing some of those songs, and it was pretty cool.
Obviously, it didn't turn into a long-term thing for you in the band or the band itself. It seemed to fade away.
Well, kind of. And I mean, I don't, I can't speak to what happened with the band because I don't know. But I do know that, I mean, I would have loved to continue, but things just didn't work out that way. There were some scheduling things that were kind of popping through that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And I was kind of getting pulled in two different directions. And, I mean, quitting a band with Jakey Lee in it was not anything I ever saw myself doing, but it was something that I wound up having to do. But I gotta say, Jake is who he is for a reason. He was always good to me. He is the monster player that you think he is. And, looking to my left, and seeing him play, a lot of the songs that I wanted to sing, a lot of the Badlands material, was a huge treat for me, and I'm glad I was there long enough to do it. Yeah, but I couldn't be happier with, you never know how things are going to turn out and what roads are going to come down. But as of right now, with ESCAPE the Hive, this is the happiest I've been in a band, in a project, supporting a record for a long time. It's, I feel like this is, anytime that you're doing your own music, it's a lot bigger deal. But there's something going on with this band. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it, but there's just kind of lightning in the bottle with it. So I'm trying to treat it like the precious thing that it is.
And like your song Separate Lives, maybe if you didn't do that stint with Kings of Dust or Jakey Lee, you wouldn't have found ESCAPE the Hive.
I absolutely believe that. I mean, I'm so glad the way it turned out. I'm ecstatic about the record. It turned out the way I really envisioned it turning out. That doesn't always happen that way. And then, bands are a weird thing. So, it's like a 5-way marriage, and marriage isn't always what it's always cracked up to be. So this, like I say, this is kind of, it's really cool. Everybody in the band is just such a monster player, and I'm privileged to be standing in front of them. I really feel that way. And sometimes you get guys. I mean, musicians, we're all crazy. We're all nuts. So a lot of times you have to walk that fence between talent and crazy. And sometimes it's you got to jump back and forth because there's a lot of both. There doesn't seem to be that in this band. It's a pretty good split. Everybody gets along really well. There's nobody mad at each other, sitting in the van. We're laughing most of the time. When we're not playing, we're laughing. And that's just a rare thing. People that are in bands and musicians know what I'm talking about. It's just a rare thing, and I'm privileged to be a part of it.
Well, Michael, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new Escape the Hive album, This Is Gonna Sting, is out now. Vanity Music Group, Shock Records. Great album. I wish you the best of luck with it. Sounds like you're doing great so far. Here's looking to the future with you.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate the time to share it all with you, and I hope everybody can give it a listen and go to our Facebook page. And we love it when fans put pictures of either them listening to it on streaming or even more so CD. And wearing the tour shirts, and so please visit us there and look for us out on the road soon, because we'll be there too.
I want to thank Michael Thomas Beck of Escape the Hive for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest album, This Is Gonna Sting, out now through Vanity Music Group. Head over to your favorite music streaming platform. Take a listen to what's available, even though Michael doesn't condone it. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy, support the artist. For all things Escape the Hive, head over to their official Facebook page /Escape the Hive. I also want to thank Dave Tedder of Head First Entertainment and Vanity Music Group for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.